Welcome to Biz Wire. I'm Joseph Nordstrom in Beijing. China watchers are still waiting on a more complete blueprint to what was decided by the Central Committee at their just concluded meeting of the Third Plenum. State media has heralded the meeting as a, quote, watershed for reform, putting it in the same category as 1978's Third Plenum. And that's when Deng Xiaoping consolidated power and pushed what he called the four modernizations that helped lead China onto a more prosperous path. Statements released so far have given some optimism that Beijing may further liberalize exchange and interest rates and lessen controls on the price of energy. It will be a slow process over the next several years, but once implemented, interest rate reform is seen as one of the more substantial changes to China's economy. Deposit rates are set low by the central bank, punishing savers who earn a return less than the rate of inflation. State-backed banks then loan those deposits to state-owned firms at preferential rates, which are generally not available to private enterprise. If controls over deposit and loan rates were freed, banks would have to compete for people's savings and be more careful with who and where they loan money. Reforms are said to have stalled after the central bank in June of last year allowed banks to float deposit rates 10% higher than benchmark rates. One executive complained to the South China Morning Post that it's not necessary to liberalize deposit rates in such small steps. He said banks should improve competitiveness in a freer market, and the country should stop exploiting savers by offering low interest rates as soon as possible. Most banks have raised deposit rates to the 10% cap above benchmark rates in competing for savers, suggesting market rates are much higher than the benchmark rates set by the People's Bank of China. Last month, led by reformer Zhou Xiaochuan, the central bank said they would gradually push ahead with reforms in a, quote, steady and orderly way. President of Renmin University and central bank advisor Chen Yulu says he expects Beijing to complete interest rate deregulation between 2015 and 2017. Chen said this would be after deposit rates were market determined and a deposit insurance system was put in place. But not everyone agrees China even needs deposit insurance similar to the FDIC in the U.S. The Wall Street Journal quoted Frank Newman, who is a former deputy U.S. Treasury Secretary and until 2010 was CEO of Shenzhen Development Bank. Newman says officials shouldn't bother with deposit insurance because rich Chinese would pull their deposits from smaller institutions and put them in China's big four state-owned banks. Newman says they may figure that the government will never let any of those deposits take a loss. Newman does agree with China's economic reformers that there should be more competition in the banking sector. He also agrees that there should be more lending to smaller, innovative companies, not just to state-owned giants. Aggressive investments supported by easy credit granted to state-owned enterprises helped push its economy, now the world's second largest, to expand by about 10% a year in the last decade. But that growth is slowing due to a number of factors, including an aging workforce. While not everyone is happy with the extent of reforms as they've been communicated so far, many observers note that China's leaders are very much aware of the many problems the country faces and are taking a longer-term view. You're watching Biz Wire on the Blue Ocean Network, China's first and only privately owned broadcast media. Our full episode can be seen on our website, BONTV/biz-wire. In just a second, we'll continue with more insight into the big picture of China's economy.